I guess you've had a summer with the players.
Yeah.
How you guys can do a lot more now. So how does that change things going into a camp versus a few years ago?
It's dramatically changed. When we've had access, but I tie the winter into that too. It's changed with the amount of on the field work you can have. I mean, there's still 8-hour rules that are out there, but how you're able to use those hours with some meeting time, some walkthroughs, some on the field skill development. It's really tied in 365 at this point. And you really never fall out of connection with the players. And typically you've always had installs at fall camp. Now you can have installs at fall camp, installs in the winter session after the bowl game, and then in spring, and then they come back. And I think the management you always want to have a foundation where you start at, but I think you don't want to keep doing the same thing. So you're able to kind of intertwine the teaching. It's become very beneficial.
You guys have so much versatility. Coach Norvell was talking about that at ACC kickoff with guys that can play multiple positions, particularly in the back end. Were you able to do some of that during the summer, and how's that going?
Absolutely. I think at this point, our guys understand we're going to play our best guys. And I think the older you are, the more we're going to put on your plate, and I think the versatility, because you're always trying to get your best guys on the field. And that's usually easy on day one, but when injuries come up, matchups come up, that's when you need the flexibility. And so just these training sessions help with building depth. Not only younger guys being able to fill in, but also your old guys, making them multiple to play different spots.
How does a guy like Braden Fiske fit into that narrative of versatility and the ability to do multiple things, and adding him to that front that you already had a lot of talent in?
Well, Braden was an easy one for me because you saw him do it. Now, it wasn't at our place, but he played all along the front. He played 5 technique, he played in the A and the B gaps. And so you were able to see it on tape. Now, once he got here and you're able to really get to know him, I mean, he eats it all up. I mean, he loves everything about this game. And so his preparation's been really, really good. So, even probably day 3 or 4, I got a plan that he's going to kick out in some of the base defense stuff, and he'll play some Fox. And, we've got some multiplicity with him. I know we've done it before with Dennis. We had to do it more last year. But I think Braden's definitely one of those pieces that we're going to be able to use in multiple ways.
Defense has 2 extremely experienced linebackers with Tatum and Kalen, but then you have DJ, who has a great deal of experience, and it sounds like Omar is the guy that Randy's earmarked as taking that next step and giving you a really good 2D. How does that position becoming so solid allow the entire defense around it to play a little bit more free and loose?
Yeah, I think the linebackers are a critical piece because they hold the communication. So if you've got veteran group that can command the attention of communication, that's why Kalen and Tatum, having them back is so important. DJ's really grown in that way. And we invested in Omar last year. We didn't see it on the game day, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he was running with the second, third group, and he was getting those reps in anticipation for what this year could be. And so, I think that position's come a long ways. I think we're really consistent there. And then we made a big investment. We brought in a bunch of younger players that will give them a year to develop, be around them. If some of them blossom early and can compete and help us in special teams or defense, then great. But I really like the top 4 group there.
How do you go about replacing Jamie Robinson?
Just keep getting better. Jamie was, an important piece to our defense the last 2 years. And, it's hard to really replace all the things that he did, but, we'll do it either through depth or through the growth and development of some of the other guys that we have. The great thing is everybody else in that secondary is back, and we've added some really good pieces. So, I don't think you just put one guy in and said, hey, you are now what Jamie did, but I think everybody's got different strengths, and, there's certain guys, the 2 safeties that are coming back that played a lot of football, Akeem and Shaheem, if they just get a year better, that helps replace some of that productivity.
You talked about the new additions there. What have you seen? You haven't seen them in proper practice yet, but what have you seen from Ashland, Conrad, guys who might fit into that mix right away?
Yeah, I'm really excited about KJ Kirkland, Ashland Barkley, and Conrad Hussey. They all have the skill, the frame, the movements to play safety here at Florida State. Now, who plays quicker? Obviously KJ was here in the spring, so I had to give him a leg up, but starting practice 1, all 3 of those guys will get significant snaps. And that's a position that we've used. Usually one of those safeties has played dime for us too. So just that should probably end up being Shaheem, just because of what he's done for us in the past. Akeem can do it. But I'm not against maybe having one of those younger players, just lock in on a significant role, maybe that being them, because they can do it athletically. It just kind of will learn here in the first 2 weeks of camp, where that Hall fits in, how they fit in. But definitely, I think all three of those guys belong here.
Kevin Knowles fits into that safety discussion too, right? Kind of a jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife guy. Why the comfort with possibly moving him back there?
He's one of the smartest players we have in our football program. What he did for us last year, playing through that injury, and seeing what he did in the bowl game of just going out and giving us everything he had. I mean, he's somebody I want on the field. And I think Greedy's development, J-Dub's development, bringing in Edwin, Fentrell, Renardo, AZ. I feel really good about where we are at corner and nickel. Kevin can go down there. He will rep at nickel, but most of his work early on will be at safety, just because he brings a lot of value to our defense. And he brings an A1 communicator back there with plus coverage skills. And, I just remember back in his high school film in MacArthur, I mean, he was picking balls off at safety. And so I've seen him do it before.
How much growth have you seen from Fentrell in terms of comfortability since the spring, and how do you see it? How's it shaping?
Fen, every time you make the move of one school to the next, that's a big transition. But heaven forbid what happened at UVA last year. I mean, that played in, as we brought him in here, like we were going to be there for him. So I think there's a lot going on there for him and his development. What I love about him, like our players absolutely love him. I mean, you just watch how he interacts with our guys, and I mean, he's a really skilled player, and he's put on good size. He's smart, and I think he'll be a great player for us. Just the way he's fitting with our group, and you've seen him play. That's easy things. Well, we've seen him in our league make plays, but now here it's a different group, it's a different stage, it's a different defense, but. Fentrell, effort is always going to be there with him, and he's a real conscientious kid, and I think the sky's the limit for him this fall.
How do you use someone like Daryl Jackson in practice when you factor in the two deep, but there's some questions if you're going to have him available with his waiver?
Daryl's playing until Mike tells me he's not. So, I'm not going to unravel that. I'm going to give him a great opportunity to get better, because that's what he needs to do. And so, we'll react if we have to react, but Daryl's playing and we're ready for it.
How has Renardo grown in the time you've been here with him?
Maybe as much as any player in our program. And that was one of those things early on when we got here, really didn't have many safeties in the program, had a couple corners. We moved Renardo to safety. I think his strength is as a one-on-one cover guy. Made the move to move him back to corner last year, and he took off with it. I think he was probably our best tackling corner, but really stepped up in some one-on-one situations, matured in so many ways. He's always had a competitive fire about him, and I think his technique a year better. I think with the tutelage of Coach Sartan, and just this will be his second year returning as a starter where he's played good football. So I think he's definitely going to be a big piece to our defense.
You have 8 returning starters on defense, a lot of guys with a lot of experience coming back. How much do you just hit the ground running out of the gate when you hit preseason camp, and is it the most you've been able to do that in your time here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the numbers will tell you that. But, we've progressively gotten better because we've gotten better both schematically, we've gotten better at evaluations, our kids have grown and developed, they've gotten coached, and the whole thing. So, we have 8 returning starters, but, I count, the DJ Lundy. I mean, you can go down the list, the amount of snaps that Patrick Payton's played, Josh Farmer, DJ Lundy, Shaheem Brown, Zaire Thomas, Greedy. I mean, there's a lot of good competition, but at the end of the day, we're only as good as we do when we play together. So, that's the part of growth in camp.